I see Gilles is with us, so I would like to give the floor to Spacewell and talk about smart building with Gilles. Gilles, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you, Walter. I'm happy to be here. I thought I was in the backstage, but apparently I wasn't. So sorry for the delay.
No, I just keep talking, so I just was waiting for you.
I'm sure you're good at that, so that's very confident about that. Normally you should be able to see my screen now. Could you confirm that, Walter?
Yes, I see your screen. Here's your presentation.
Right, excellent. I'm very happy to be here. We are a recurring speaker on Global PropTech, so thank you for keeping inviting us. I guess we are leaving a somewhat of an impression. And I'm also happy that we get to talk after Haltjen. I liked something that Janne said about being software agnostic. I think we are a good match or a good follow-up session from there, because we are hardware agnostic and we develop software that works with hardware vendors such as Haltjen.
Yeah, for sure. I think I just see one. Yes, if you can click that away. Hide that one. Yeah, that looks way better.
Yeah. We're good.
So I would like to give you the floor, and I will watch your presentation, and maybe at the end I will have some questions for you.
I'm counting on it.
For sure.
So like I said, we are a recurring speaker, and we differ in ways we pitch on these sessions with Global PropTech. And today I'm going to target more the audience of facility managers out there who are looking for creating a business case, what to look out for, am I prioritizing the right things based on the trends of today? So for all you global real estate managers or corporate real estate managers out there, this presentation is for you. Myself, I'm Gilles. I'm with the Spacewell company. I've been with Spacewell for 8 years, and I have a role in product strategy and consultancy. So I'm going to start with the obvious big change in the world, and the corporate world of real estate has changed. And it's clear that we all felt it. And the big trend can be summarized as follows. We went from static workplaces back in the 90s, the nillies, to agile workplaces. And now we have entered the hybrid workplace era. So it's $1 trillion class that is really transforming. So it's a huge thing. I know everybody always says that real estate is the slowest market to evolve. And I'm very happy to be in this, disruptive stage of this transformation, because things are moving quite fast. And the workplace is reshaping into its next form now. I like the word reshaping, because shaping is all about what we are as a company. Spacewell is part of a larger group. We are part of the Nemetschek group. And as a group, we have different brands. We have 13 brands, and we all have one vision or one thing in common, is that we empower our customers to shape the world. We all create software. We are a Germany-based, globally operating software developer focused on the AEC and operate industry. And so the corporate group is focused on 4 customer segments: design, build, manage, and media. And including 13 highly innovative market-leading brands such as Spacewell, the brands offer digital solutions for planning, building and operations of buildings and infrastructure projects. I also mentioned media because we use 3D software also for supporting and powering most of our technologies. So you see all the brands there on the right. I've highlighted Spacewell to show you where we fit in that life cycle of building software. And being a software company, we are agnostic to building controls, to access controls, to sensors, to HVAC systems, to whatever. But in the end, we want to become, and we are building agnostic, and we want to make buildings work harder for the people in them. Yeah. And today, I will tell you how this Nemetschek software can empower you to shape smarter and healthier buildings. And I'm going to give you a storyline that will eventually end up in what it is that we do. And if you have questions about that, of course, you can always reach out, or I will see you at the Q&A towards the end of the session. I'm not going to use a whole lot of statistics and numbers, but there's one that is very, very important to understand, that this is here to stay, and it's the hybrid work model. 83% of workers consider hybrid work model to be the most optimal. And they want the best of both worlds, basically. On one hand, people want to go back to the office. They want to be on site because that's where they get access to technology, to the colleagues that they work with, and also it brings a sense of routine. You know that you're not at home, so you're not disturbed by your cat, your dog, your household, and so you have that, which is why people want to go back to the office. At the same time, people want to work remotely. It brings a sense of safety. You are in your own bubble of comfort. You have your quality of life surrounding you, and you have the freedom to be more flexible in the way you approach your daily work routines. So there are ups and downs for each of both models. And so in this hybrid balance, what drives the requirement for smart and healthy buildings? Like, how do you make a business case? You can no longer expect people to come to the office every day from 9 to 5 and then create a workplace environment that is suitable for that type of people flow. So you need to find a business case to still provide smart and healthy buildings, taking into account the hybrid working model. That's a very hard thing to do because there are no benchmarks in the world today for this. Yeah? Companies like Colliers, GLL, CB, Cushman, they're all working on that, and they all have models in the field, but this is very new. Yeah? So the one thing that they all have in common is that it needs to come from attending the needs of employees. You all know that employees is the highest cost for any company out there. 10 times more than the second one, which is space costs. So you need to attend to the employees in the building. That's for who you're making your business case for a smart and healthy building. What question do you need to ask your employees? Is it, where do you want to work? It might be the wrong question, because you're going to get answers like, I don't want to go back. I want to go back exactly like it was before. I want something in between. I don't know, you tell me. I want to be home more. I mean, in Belgium, for example, just to this night, the government said that they are going to move the working weeks, or allow working weeks of full-time work weeks of 4 days instead of 5 days. So there's an enormous trend of changes in what is the new normal way of working. So a better question should be, what unleashes a person's potential, enabling them to be healthy and productive, regardless of where they work? And with that difficult question, I know, what is then the investment that is relevant to make buildings smarter and healthier? And I think that also fits well with the quest of Amar to find new innovative software. And Dubai I've been there a few times, and it's filled with beautiful buildings developed by Amar. They have, there's still some vacancy, and certain buildings have certain challenges, but in the end, this is finding that technological innovative sweet spot is really what's going to make buildings work for people more. And in all these changes, the hybrid office is the new normal. It is here to stay. Yeah? So we better get used to it and find ways to work around this. Because in the end, there are a lot of advantages. I sum here 3 advantages for all corporate companies. The first one is you can find talent everywhere. You no longer are bound to your headquarters or satellite offices. You can really work closely with people who come from different countries. They work from home permanently. But from an HR perspective, your reach is much wider. That's handy, right? The cost saving on unused space and energy fees is also an opportunity for a lot of companies to look into. That's going to be one of the major topics for my presentation here today. And the third big opportunity is that employees are more productive as they feel empowered. Yeah? You have people who hate it, but you have a lot of people who are much more empowered and therefore also productive when working from home. It depends on the profile. However, with those, you also have new challenges that were there before, but now have really tremendously become more challenging. So frequent challenges are: how much office space do we need in a hybrid model? From before the pandemic, we knew that we were wasting space. And yes, there were techniques and technologies to help optimizing the space. But now with people that are not like frequently coming in or out, or I mean, it's very volatile. It's even harder to know, okay, how much office space do I actually need? And can I base that on just people booking shifts or reservation or check-in information? Or is there something out there that can help me really, really understand how I can restack and re-optimize my space? A second challenge is, if you thought that it would be hard for people to move from static to open office plans, then you can imagine it's even harder for them to move from static all the way past open offices to hybrid office models. It's a tremendous change. Yeah? You no longer have your desks with all your family pictures and all your equipment around you. Now it's a very volatile thing, the office. So how do you support them in the best possible way? How do you get them the tools so that they don't waste time as much as they can? Third frequent challenge was the major topic of the previous presentation by Haltian, and that's how to ensure a safe and healthy return to the office. We spend a lot of time indoors, and the effect of carbon dioxide and outdoor pollution and how what is being filtered from outdoors to indoors is affecting our ways to be productive at work. So how do we mitigate that? And thirdly, how will a healthy and smart building make us contribute to becoming climate neutral by 2050, which is the European legislation? So these are challenges that are probably on anybody's agenda somewhere. In terms of priorities, that's something I cannot say, but we believe at Spacewell that we have certain solutions that can help you with one or more of these challenges, if these are the ones you focus, the ones you see. So this is the start of your business case. This is where we want to help you. We believe that technology, data, and analytics can help you in answering those questions. We often say that data is the new form of gold. With data, you have knowledge, and with knowledge, you can make informed decisions. So our company's DNA really revolves around bringing you the knowledge so that you can then shape your office. We are not going to shape your buildings and shape your smart office and healthy office, but we're going to give you the empowering tools for you to be the hero within your company. And so we've developed over the past years, well before the pandemic, but this has been changed a little bit as a result of the pandemic. We have built smart workplace solutions that result in a smarter and healthier workplace environment. We have space optimization, we have employee experience, health monitoring, and energy intelligence as four foundation products at Spacewell. Yeah. Now, I'm very proud that since last week, we have been recognized by Verdantix as one of the 4 leaders in the quadrant of IoT platforms for smart buildings. It's a tremendous challenge, especially if you look at the top 3. Those are other types of companies. And so we've started with this Spacewell offering for smart buildings in 2015. I remember I was part of that initial task force. It was kind of a startup within an already existing company, and that's in 5 to 6 years we are now a world player, a world leader. And so this is proof that there is a market out there. We have crossed the chasm of early adopters and pioneers, and we are now in a much bigger market of corporate real estate managers looking for such solutions. And so the first one, space optimization, is focusing on these very painful figures. What are you going to do with the space that you have? If you know that 82% of the meeting room seats are barely being used, and collaboration isn't with 20 people on average, but with 4 or less people. So do you still need those tremendous large conference rooms with 20 seats? Also, with people working from home, a lot of people are just on Zoom or Teams calling with their colleagues. So you don't need a lot of meeting rooms anymore. You need more cockpits and bubbles. Also, 50% of the available office space is underused. I think that's an obvious one. And depending on the type of company, depending on the location in the world, that's going to be even closer to 70 to 80%. Now, there are 3 ways for optimizing space performance. The obvious one is reducing the overall square footage. That's not always an easy one. That depends on your lease contracts and opportunities that you can have in reducing the footprint. We offer solutions that help you assessing how much and what type of spaces you can then remove. And we have some beautiful cases out there that is proof that you can have a return on investment in just a few months and equals to an amount of 10 million in reduction, 10 million euros, that is. An easier way to optimize the space, if you cannot reduce the amount of square meters you have, is by reducing the square footage per person. Rather than have offices that are, let's say, 10 square meters per person, that's the benchmark pre-corona, you can put more people together, still taking into account the social distancing and so on, and just get more people cramped in one space while remaining healthy. Yeah. And then the third option for optimizing space is just restacking the whole thing, optimizing your space mix and increasing the usage of each individual space. Basically saying, taking advantage of every square meter you have, We use sensor data for this. And I know from the very first presentation today that certain companies are still a bit reliant or reluctant to invest in sensors. I can tell you from hundreds of companies we've helped that it's always an investment with the return on investment before the end of the first year. So it's not a cost, it's a saving with an upfront investment. And it does provide more granularity, and it does provide you with more empowering data to take informed decisions. If you're going to base your reduction in square meters on the amount of people that have checked in or the amount of people that have reserved a workplace or a meeting room, that's a dangerous decision, and that's the dangerous source of data for making cost-cutting decisions. So sensor data is something that you can use to truly optimize the office environment by getting answers to the questions like how many desks you need and where, and how many people can the office support safely, and how much you can save on the overall space and what the ideal fit out is. That seems almost too good to be true. It did take us a lot of years to come up with a solution that eventually spills out that information for you. And we've released this last year. It's called the Opportunity Simulator. Using occupancy data from sensors, the Opportunity Simulator is going to simulate scenarios and dynamically calculate based on your data, your occupancy, your cost per square meter, while remaining GDPR compliant and private and so on. We're going to provide you with the insights you need to effectively reduce your office footprint and improve the space mix. So it basically turns that I have a lot of data into, no, what do you want to know is how many of those, how many spaces of that type do I need, and how many of that type do I need, and how many can I reduce? That's the information you want. You don't want to look hours and hours in front of a dashboard and then having to do the exercise yourself. You want the system to give you that information. And that's what we bring. A use case as an example of this is Accenture. So this is their headquarters in Belgium, in Brussels. It's a beautiful environment. I think it's unique in the world. And for 1,000 employees, almost 5,000 square meters, they had this issue. It was completely new. They brought people in. Okay, it was a pandemic, but still, the occupancy rates turned out to be much lower than management's perception. They had theoretically optimized the stacking mix and the fit out, but still, there were complaints that there were too little spaces, whereas management thought, yeah, there's plenty of space. The reason is that certain parts of the office were not very comfortable. Temperature, humidity data was used to tune the HVAC system eventually and resolve comfort issues in spaces that got too hot and uncomfortable, and therefore people avoided those spaces. So what we did is basically monitoring air quality and occupancy, and put both data sources side by side to uncover opportunities to improve the overall space utilization. So rather than them having to invest in more square footage, they could just optimize the fit out, the stacking mix, and the HVAC settings so that there was more fresh air intake and so on. And then eventually there was a better distribution of occupancy throughout the entire office. That was a very good example of a very good case for us, at least, of the proof of the pudding. Employee experience is always the direct result of space optimization. You cannot just change an entire office layout and then expect people to be happy about it or know exactly how they can get to the services that they need. So that usually goes hand in hand. 40% of employees, they waste over 10 minutes per day looking for a workplace, especially in open workplace environments. 47 says that their workplace doesn't support them to be productive. It's either not the right mix of space, or they don't find it convenient, or it's too loud, or it has poor air quality, it's too hot, it's too cold. And then 80% of employees, they want to work at least 3 days from home these days. So how do you find the balance of being as productive while there are colleagues of yours that are at home and others are at work, but then at work you want a convenient place to be able to work, whether your colleagues are at work or from home. So there needs to be a better way. And so we had an app pre-pandemic, but we completely redesigned it for the hybrid workplace during the pandemic. Yeah? This has been released last year in 2021, and it brings together all sorts of functionalities and scenarios that a lot of large corporates are looking for. Deloitte is starting with this, Upfield, Randstad, AXA, Adobe. They're all looking for this app that works on all devices, whether it's in Outlook, on your phone, on a web browser, on meeting room panels, or on these large touchscreen kiosks you have at the entrance. They want one seamless user interface and user experience for their 10,000s of employees, where they can access room booking information, hot desking information, enter service requests, IT problems, steer lights, steer the temperature, close the blinds, find colleagues, know when colleagues are in the office or when they are working from home, follow them, track them like on social media, see what the comfort is of certain areas so that they can prioritize their meeting in one room versus another one, request hospitality services, entering your meeting room and having the coffee served for you, or order catering from your workstation, and then also have the whole extension of that applied to the parking environment, where you can book your parking spot, know how many EV parking places you have left for you, know when they are charged and when you can move your parking spot to another place. All that combined into one system across different touch points. The case that I bring here for this example is Randstad. Randstad has multiple buildings spread across the Netherlands, and they wanted to have one unified experience for their employees. And we started in their headquarters, and we are moving from there to other locations. And the office was closed due to the pandemic, of course, in 2020. And throughout 2021, they were tendering and looking for a system that could help them, because it was time for them to plan the grand reopening in September of 2021. So reopening for them meant assisting people with a simple, flexible, and a complete booking system. That's the example I just gave. And so they wanted their employees to get access to the system anywhere, anytime, with real-time data in the palm of their hands. And then have all kinds of advanced rulings so that people could only book spots within a radius outside their home, and all kinds of special things. And the example here is from where this lady is sitting, and then you see the floor plan where there are available seatings available, and she can then go from one floor to another, and then get also recommended floor locations based on the crowdedness. So that was built for them. Well, not for them, but that was made available to them. And by booking the office and monitoring occupancy, again, combining space optimization with workers' experience, the facility manager, they can optimize capacity to allow maximum occupancy in the office while keeping a safe amount of people on site. The third solution is actually really continuing what was said earlier this morning in the session of Haldian, where we look at how you can make your work environment more healthy. 33% of office workers believe that poor air quality is impacting their health. You see millennials prioritizing office environments even more than their salary. That's can you imagine that? Most of them think that the air quality is affecting their productivity. I think we all do. I was surprised that this wasn't 100%. So health will and does impact productivity, and productivity is something you can put a dollar sign on, because it equals your success as an organization. If all of your employees are often sick or like just working at 90% productivity capacity, then you, as an organization, you're losing your FTE's worth of success. So it's important to focus on that health part. For air quality has been linked to all these things that you see here, and that was covered in the previous session more in depth. So I'm not going to go into too much details about this right now. But prevention and promotion of health in the workplace used to be something that facility managers wanted to hide from their employees, and now it's been asked to be front and center in all those apps and dashboards, and use it. And that's exactly what we do. We work with vendors, with building management system providers, with companies like Haltian, Airthings in this case, to install sensors or data points where you can collect not just temperature, humidity, but air pressure, to know is the fresh air intake and the fresh air distribution okay? Are the TVOC levels, CO2 particle matters, so the dust, is all that in balance? And then use that information on one hand to help employees find their comfort spot to work from productively, and at the same time help managers monitor the air quality across the workplace so that they can take informed decisions on where they should take actions and improve the HVAC systems. And then lastly, energy intelligence is, that's like the big trend of the past years, right? And last year we were very happy to acquire a company that is now providing this part of our solution, where we work towards being carbon neutral. We work towards enabling and empowering corporate companies to be carbon neutral by 2050. And we do this by starting them on a continuous improvement journey. This continuous improvement journey starts by detecting energy efficiency potential. So based on your invoices, your energy bills, all these things, you already get an idea of, all right, this is my portfolio, these are the square meters, these are my employees, this is what my building should be consuming, these are my bills. I have a potential here to improve. This is not even smartified yet, right? From there, we start pouring in the data from the smart meters, from energy consumption data sources, and analyze consumption and evaluate savings with real-time energy data. That's still asking a lot of work from an energy manager or facility manager to read dashboards or to read insights. And now, last year also, we've introduced our very first AI engine. That AI engine works 24/7, is completely automated, and provides proactive energy management recommendations for a facility manager. What does that mean? Well, it basically means that every day you wake up, you open your system because you got a notification, and you see the list of all the things that could be improved. For example, here we see 3 new anomalies detected today. And the cost of those anomalies is, in this case, 538 euros per week. And then from that list, you know exactly what needs to happen. You click on that, you have a sidebar that opens, it tells you this is what you need to do. This is our recommendation, and that's going to be your projected annual saving if you do this right away. And from there, you can then start a project, and that project jumps into another piece of our software where it can be executed, and project management can be also managed from there. So that's where we are looking at in terms of solutions for smart and healthy buildings. They help you answer these questions, the ones I started with, and the ones that are hopefully supporting a business case you might look into. I had a very quick demo in case there were questions or in case there was time left. So this is an example of an office that we did during the pandemic, where we are monitoring multiple floors of a building in Amsterdam. And you see here that we have utilization, real life utilization information, but everything is green. It's because knowing that there's someone is not necessarily bad. You see that this conference room here, for example, with 4 people, there are 5 chairs. So it's fine. As long as there are not more than 5 people in there, it will remain green. Yeah. If you look at the occupancy version of this, you see that these are the places where people are actually sitting. And if you want to map something else like comfort, which is a combination of CO2, temperature, and humidity, you see that the green areas are good. However, these 2 areas will give people a sensation of coldness. Yeah? That's how we go beyond just blunt data, but we give you already what the data means. Yeah? And on the back end, this is the front end. On the back end, you have your portfolio. I now open the CEO office. In the CEO office, we have 2 sensors. We have a sensor that measures that CO2, humidity, pressure, and all these things. And then we have another one that is counting the amount of people going in and out that office. And then you can track that information. My session expired. That's so typical. You can then also... Let's go back to that CEO office. There's a device. That's the device from a hardware agnostic partner of ours measuring these items, and then you can see what the data is that is being created or monitored from there. And then, of course, this is not giving you the information you need. So the next step, the next thing we do is transform that information into actionable insights, such as the example I'm giving you here, as well as the example in this case, where you need to get all your gauges in the red, in the green, so to remain compliant, and then you can start data mining from here on and get to the insights and the results you need to go. Right, I started a little bit later, Walter, so I don't know if we still have time for the Q&A panel.
Yes, we sure do. Let me see how I come back. Yes, there we are again. So amazing presentation again, Gilles. Thank you very much. How do you see real estate adapting with all these data challenges? from who is which data? Is it from the tenant? Is it from the building owner? Is it from Spacewell maybe? How do you see this?
It's definitely never from Spacewell. The only thing Spacewell does is keep anonymized information so that we can benchmark data across users. And then, well, there are two types of users, and you mentioned them. It's a developer or the owner, let's say, on one hand, and it's sometimes also the tenants, and it depends who comes knocking on our door. I think ideally it should be the owner, because the owner is eventually responsible for creating smarter buildings to get tenants and find tenants and just have a better rentability of the office environment and all that stuff. But I think that is still in an evolutionary phase. Today, it's usually the tenant that comes.
Yeah, the tenant is asking the questions, well, we want to do some stuff and we want to create an healthy environment, or we want to know which space we are really using or not using. And probably you get those kind of questions from the tenants way faster right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also the reason why I can tell you is that the owner is still thinking a lot in terms of profitability. And this is a business model for them, which is obvious, and it's a logical reason. That is sometimes what is happening. I'm going to give you an example. The Valley, the new building that is being completed by April in Amsterdam. They have a smart building offering for all the tenants of the Valley, but the individual tenants, they also have offices in other countries and in other locations and sites in that country, for example, and they want themselves to have a unified solution or platform. So that's where the discrepancy is.
Yeah. That makes it not that easy.
No, because if the owner says you need to buy from us, then the tenant will see himself, the company that is a tenant will see himself having a smart building solution in one building, and then another one in another building, and another one in another building.
Yeah, and for sure, if it's a large company with different kind of buildings all over the world, then it gets really fast a little bit messy. Yeah,
and I think that is not going to change anytime soon, but that is going to
does that
find
need
its
to
way.
become like a data standard or something like that? Because if you get the same solutions out of your smart building, it doesn't really matter which kind of solution you use. If the data gets into one platform eventually.
Yeah, you just said it there. Eventually, it should come into one platform. As long as that's not happening, the data is going to be what is worth money, and it's going to find its ownership either on the tenant side or the owner side. Ideally, you will have, just like you had 10 years ago, the battle of Siri versus Google versus Alexa versus Cortana. You always have a winner in the end, and that battle has not been won yet in this world.
It's just happening right now. We're just starting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which kind of questions did you see? Well, because the pandemic is really on its return right now, so we're going back to the office. What kind of questions do you get from owners or tenants right now? Is it different than before?
I'm sorry?
Is it different than before?
Yeah, it's definitely different than before, and it's probably what you think they are. Before the pandemic, I think 95% of the questions we got was on space optimization, because that's where there was money to win. That's the clearest ROI. That's the clearest short term to savings. And during the pandemic, I would say that there has been a almost 180-degree shift, whereas most of the current RFPs in the market right now is workplace experience, finding ways to just get people back to the office and getting them a nice workplace experience so that they can be productive while they have colleagues of them still sitting at home. And that's really a turnaround. And I think what is going to happen is going to be the next change. It's going to be, again, a 180 flip. Because then the time will come to start optimizing the space you need and the space you have left.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a lot to be left to be done in this industry. So looking forward to this new year that just has started, and hopefully we'll get way more smart buildings in the world, and you win way more prizes than or recognitions than you got from Verdantix as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for being with us today, Gilles from Spacewell.
Thank you, Walter.